What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio, and I get to speak today with Mr. Frankie Mish from the band Sleep Waker. How you doing, Frankie?
Pretty great. How about you?
Good, man. Like I was telling you before we went on air, it's just been a hectic day, and I got my green screen up just in time, and I don't know if I covered everything correctly. I look like I look like one of your music videos, I think, right now.
Yeah.
I think what was the one? Yeah, your most recent one. I was like, man, is my Wi-Fi acting up again or something?
Yeah.
I keep taking another look. It was like an emergency broadcast system or something. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the movie They Live, when they kept like stealing the feed and sneaking in, and it got staticky and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that movie. I'll have to look that up. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, you got to check it out. I think you'll find some inspiration for the whole next album,
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. When we were doing that video, I sent it to the guys as like a draft, and because I was the one that edited that one specifically, and yeah, they were all kind of like, we thought Drive, like Google Drive, was just messing up. We didn't realize that was the actual effect or anything like that. But yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It added to it, made people ask, like me, ask questions like, man, internet's been weird lately. What's going on?
Yeah. Whatever gets people to stop and question something for a little bit.
All right. See, now we're talking the same language here.
Yeah.
There's so much that as I've been going down like the rabbit hole of you guys that I want to get into a little bit about your inspiration and stuff. But before we do, let me get usually when I have an artist on for the first time, I like to get a little bit of a background before we get to current events. So originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I have a journal entry from when I was a kid that my parents found that said I wanted to be a bartender when I was little, but I wanted to be a bartender because I thought it'd be cool to I liked cleaning dishes when I was younger. I thought it was just kind of like relaxing for me, and I was like, it'd be cool to just have conversations with people like all day, like that just seemed like a cool thing. But yeah, I remember my doctor when I was like in first grade going, really? You said bartender? Like, do I need to ask your parents if you're okay? Like,
are you safe at home?
Yeah. But I specifically wrote next to that, I do not want to be a rock star. Because I didn't want that attention or anything like that. So I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm not there yet, but
things have definitely changed a little bit, huh?
Yeah. But still, I'm still like, I don't really want that like big, tons of eyes on me, a lot of attention kind of thing going on. It's just one of the like, I'd like to make art and then kind of like hide behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You want to create the music and then go serve the drinks.
Yeah, exactly. Clean all the dishes.
Nice. So when was it that you like first discovered music?
I mean, since I was tiny. My dad's always played drums, guitar, bagpipes, fife, like anything you can think of. He used to play it. So we always had some stuff in the house, and like he used to be in a Celtic marching band, and I would go and there's video of me as a tiny little kid in the middle of a bagpipe circle while they're all tuning, and I'm dead asleep, and it's just the loudest thing on the planet, and I'm like, but I loved like bagpipes and Celtic music when I was little, and then obviously like all the drum circles and everything that they would do for, like, my dad was on the drum line and he would switch over to bagpipes every once in a while, but I got to play around on that stuff, and then playing around on the drum kit that we had at home was huge, and that's what eventually led me to being drummer for sure. Like that's absolutely why.
Oh, sweet. So yeah, you just answered the next question, but
Oh,
I mean, bagpipes and Celtic music's always kind of been like I've always dug that stuff. Like
yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of times when I hear it, it's funerals and stuff, but it's still like such a
yeah.
beautiful uh setting, So
Mhm.
I think I wrote it in like my will is like I want bagpipes played,
Yeah, yeah. I feel I feel bad for my dad because we were just talking about it. He the last 3 times he's played his bagpipes have been at a funeral, which is yeah, not very. I mean, there haven't been as many weddings lately, but like because that's usually where people ask him to perform. But yeah,
Yeah, gotcha. And then like so like you grew up around that type of music and stuff, and then like when did you first start like forming like bands of your own and stuff?
I mean, I was in a Beatles cover band with my dad when I was and my uncle when I was really young. My uncle played guitar, my uncle played bass, and my dad played guitar. Uh, and I played drums, but that was when I was, I want to say 10 or 11. And then before that, I was always in like, jamming in the basement with my friends and stuff like that, like the friends that could play other instruments and stuff. And then when I turned 12 or 13, uh, Hunter and I started bands, our vocalist. And we, we just pretty much met as many people as we could, tried to get them into a band, came up with insane amounts of band names for every failed project, and then eventually we landed on Sleepwaker. So it's been there. None of the bands ever did anything aside from the one that I was in right before Sleepwaker without Hunter, and then but we only recorded like a demo, and it was horrible. So
Was this all in high school or this post high school that you started
yeah,
connecting with
this was
everybody?
all pre high school, and then Sleepwaker started when I was in freshman year.
Okay,
But
cool.
like yeah, like I guess started like practicing, not so much becoming a real band. But
Nice. And then so what led you guys to pick the name like Sleepwaker? What's the inspiration behind that?
yeah, we've always thought Hunter and I kind of talked about uh how we both have had issues with insomnia and sleep paralysis and stuff like that, and it's not an uncommon thing to it's a pretty common thing to have like experience stuff like that. So we're like, that's a cool kind of connection that you can make with people. So why don't we name the band something to do with sleep? I think that's just always a very interesting, like kind of artistic way you can take things, or route you can take things. So we were kind of thinking of like Sleepwalker, and then you Google that, and there's a million bands with that name. So
Yeah.
you had to find something different. So you're like, what if we just took out the L and made it like kind of a waker, like a cool kind of name, like the contrast between sleeping and waking, and have like and that's kind of where we got the idea to sneak a little world in the middle, because like there's the like sleep waker, and then between that is like this world that we're trying to kind of create.
Well, there's could be so many like different like meetings that I was getting from like as I said, I was going down your guys' rabbit hole a little
Hmm.
bit and just um I mean you kind of look around at society today and like is everybody kind of like in a sleep wake, you know,
Yeah.
mode? They're all walking around staring at our phones, you know. We got all
Hmm.
this stuff going on, but no one's really like paying attention.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah,
seems
yeah.
like it plays a lot like that.
Honestly, I'm glad to hear that. That's something that we've always tried to do with the band, is make it somewhat ambiguous and not. I mean, lately we've been trying to define what we've been doing because we realize that it's people want that more so than just here's our content, take what you can from it. But it is still nice to have people interpret things in different ways and hear the different interpretations, and sometimes you learn things about your own band that you didn't even know, and you're like, that's kind of cool. Like we can go with that. So
Yeah. And then, like, I kind of like you just said with the sleep paralysis and stuff like that. I've done like, been through like sleep studies for myself, like,
mhm.
from my time in the military, and, sleep apnea. I have, I get to use one of those Darth Vader masks when I go to bed and all that
Yeah.
cool stuff. But, you learn a lot about the importance of sleep and how it affects the body and the mind and stuff. So what have you learned through your time? Like, what's the importance of sleep to you?
That I need more of it. uh, but no, I think it's just it's an interesting, like it's a different mindset, and there's so many weird and interesting things that can happen. It's like there's limits on it, but it's not. It's just pure creativity, I guess. It's just whatever your mind can come up with when you're dreaming specifically. Um, and it's always something that I've kind of been fascinated with when it comes to what like where your mind goes when you sleep, and uh how you feel when you're sleeping, and, like where you are, I guess. It's a hard thing to explain, I guess, but um yeah, I really think it's a cool concept to say when you fall asleep you go into a different realm or a different world, and thinking of it that way gives you so many artistic liberties. Um, when I watched Twin Peaks, that old TV show,
Yeah.
uh, there are a bunch of scenes and like sequences where the main character falls asleep, and then there's this weird like room, and people are talking backwards, and it's dream logic. Like anything could happen, and you don't really understand why. Uh, and I just thought if I could like unleash creativity in some way, and then have it be explained and like it makes sense, that would be the best way, is to just do something and say, oh well, we're in a dream, so that can happen. Like you at that point, you don't have to like explain what's happening in the real world. You can just put something out and make it weird and make it crazy or over the top, and then you can just say, well, it's in a dream, so didn't need to make sense or something like that.
No, I like that. It's like I forget what movie it was, but there was like something where like, well, maybe it was a Nightmare on Elm Street or something, like, Freddy Krueger or something. But it's just like
Yeah.
when you realize you're in a dream, and then the power that you can create for yourself within the
Hmm.
dream realm, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes like well, I'll just use an example that I had. Like um I'm a veteran, and I got, deal with PTSD and stuff. And once in a while, I'll get like nightmares and stuff of some
Hmm.
of the events that I dealt with. And the VA was just like, well, we got a pill that will get rid of your nightmares, and it's like, they're not all the time, you know, but they're like, we got a pill that'll get rid of your nightmares. I'm like, well, how will that affect my dreams? Oh, well, you
Hmm.
just won't dream anymore, and I'm like, well, no,
Yeah.
I sometimes live my best life, in some of my dreams. So if I have to have a
Mhm.
few nightmares now and then to have those good dreams, I'm just going to deal with those nightmares so I can experience those dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when I was little. I took a lot of melatonin because I had insomnia like a lot, and it messed with my dreams like pretty bad, and it made me like not want to go to sleep anymore, and I just had tons of nightmares and weird things. Um, and so like I just stopped taking it because I was like, they're like you were saying, the good dreams are so good that you're like, I don't want to miss out on that. Like, yeah, something's taking
Yeah,
him away.
exactly. And I like, yeah, it's like, I mean, they got a pill for just about everything, but I think it's like, I've been learning on my journey is just like that what the body can do, and you know that we haven't even scratched the surface of what our minds are capable of. You know, so I like you know, like artists and stuff that kind of make you think about what's outside the realm. Is this real? Is this a simulation? I mean, you know, I see you on the screen right now. You know, I look like I'm kind of fake because of the green screen and everything right now. You know, I mean, are we really having this conversation? You know?
Yeah, no,
So
this is just a VTuber thing. Like it's a CGI model of myself, and this is actually our bassist talking right now.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I like what I've seen with some of your guys' work and videos is like you kind of you present an art that has people kind of like makes you think, you know, like I mean, let's talk about like the new album ALIAS. What you know, what's some of the message that you guys are trying to, you know, or what's the inspiration kind of behind this and the message that you're trying to send out with this album?
Yeah, this is definitely a very existential album. That's like the whole. I guess that's the best way to kind of wrap it up in one word. But it's kind of it was inspired by just watching like different shows and different movies and stuff like that. Specifically, one of the big ones is Blade Runner and like Ghost in the Shell. I liked watching those and kind of like boiling them down to their themes and what they're really about, rather than like the story that you see in the movie. And they're all about what it means to be human and the like humanity, or how these people experience humanity, specifically Blade Runner, because they're like replicants and they're fake people. And I thought that was a cool concept, and I wanted to kind of explore that a little bit more. So we've got a bunch of songs that kind of tie into that style and that idea. And we were like, okay, so what if this focused on identity over everything else? Like, what if this whole album just focused on like who we are, rather than, you know, sleep or sleeping and stuff like that? Because I think when you dream, like you can change who you are and you can change what you're doing, and it's kind of a cool concept. So it still ties in. And so we just got really introspective and wrote a bunch of songs about change, basically, and identity, and what it means to be you, and the experiences that can change who you are. There are a couple songs on there that are, I guess you could call them like not so much love songs, but more like relationship kind of songs, and how you can be in a relationship and that relationship changes you in some way, and you turn into a different person at the end of it. And I think that's kind of half the album, and the other half of the album is why are we human and what does it mean?
I see that. I mean, now the name Alias is making a lot more sense too for the album, because it's like, you know, sometimes I don't know, you know, you meet that new girl and you really want to impress her, so you start doing a bunch of things that's not normally you. You know, you put on that, you know, that alias, that facade, that mask to fit in with certain groups. But then after a while, it like wears on you because you're not being your authentic self.
Yeah,
you know, you're being an alias, basically. You know.
Yeah. When we were coming up with the name, we were like, let's do something interesting and something that we've never heard before, or like a metal band hasn't used. So we went through, I want to say it was like 4 days in the studio of just like pitching out words like this. And then eventually Alias came up and we are like, that's it. That's the one. That's sick. But nice. And then we've also since then built like an acronym out of it, which is kind of cool. But
okay, mind sharing that?
Yeah, all life is a sound. And that's going to be and that's going to be something that we're going to tie in later into the future of Sleepwaker.
That's cool too, because you know, it got me thinking about like you I've looked into like frequencies and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and the energy of sound and the power of sound and words and how it can affect the human body, and
Mhm.
so yeah, everything is, all life is a sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I dig that. That's good. um and then like for the video for Distance,
Mhm.
I mean, man, I was watching that and it was like, it looked like you guys had like quite a Hollywood production there, like kind of budget did you have to put that together? It reminded me like kind of like a, something like with The Matrix and like
Mhm.
Get Out, and I'm trying to think of a couple other movies that were like I was thinking of as I was watching that, but it was like a story of its own, a little mini
Yeah.
movie of its own.
Yeah, we for that one actually we had the same budget we had for Relief. We just got an insanely good videographer friend that's just willing to put his all into everything he does. Um Ned Ingles, the Ingles pictures, they're absolutely insane. uh but yeah, it was really cool. We got to really just go off and do whatever we wanted. Just sit there. He and I would sit there on calls for like hours and kind of come up with the story and what it was and how it ties in, because it's a continuation of our other songs, Melatonin and Relief. If you watch the Relief music video and the Melatonin music video, those kind of lead up to what happens in Distance. Um, and they're all connected in some way. So we were like, okay, how do we kind of like connect these things, and how do we bring it to a head and start to end this story, or maybe extend it or do something with it. And uh, I don't want to give away what's coming next, but there's some really cool things that are gonna kind of wrap up everything, and you'll kind of see how it's connected.
Cool. I'll have to go back and watch those first two then.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely.
Good to know the building the prequels or whatever, the original
Mhm.
trilogy of the Sleepwaker
Yeah,
project. But he did it. I mean, it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah,
hats off
he's
to you guys.
absolutely insane. Yeah, I appreciate it.
And then like I said, your most recent video that we were talking about at the beginning, it just got released,
Mhm.
110 minutes. Um, and I already told you kind of what I saw with it and stuff. But what is the 110 minutes? What's the meaning behind that?
So that's actually referencing sleep cycles. So there's if you go into like looking into REM cycles and everything, the average REM cycle is between 90 minutes and 120 minutes. So we were like, well, split the difference, 110 minutes. So, and it sounded cool, and we were like, that's a very interesting number, and it's just different enough that people can ask, why, or what does it mean, or um, and yeah. So the song itself is referencing the final REM cycle before you get to like actual dreams, and you start experiencing dreams and everything. Uh, So in the timeline that we're kind of setting up, it's like Relief is like the prequel when you're awake and you're going to be falling asleep. Uh Melatonin is you, our character, I guess, being asleep and kind of trying to cope with the new reality he's in, and what it means. And because melatonin is just about coping with your situation, and like battling vices and stuff like that. And then 110 minutes is or no, sorry, and then Skin is the next song that comes after that, and that's um creating like the sleep spindles and stuff like that that comes in NREM 2. And then NREM 3 is 110 because it's right before you're about to start dreaming, and things are getting kind of weird. and your body temperature drops, and yeah, all this cool stuff happens. And then distance is actually dreaming, and that's where you're experiencing all these different things, and your brain is just kind of going crazy, and then eventually you wake up, and that's coming July 23rd.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, I dig it, man. I dig the whole process and the thought behind it. I mean, everybody's like, you know, it seems like a lot of people I've talked to is just focused on throwing out singles and getting catchy singles out there.
Yeah.
I miss albums that had concepts, that told stories, that you put, you know, put it on and you listen from beginning to end, and you went on a journey, you know.
Yeah,
And it sounds like that's what you guys have been doing with your videos and shit. So that's really cool, man. Definitely have to
absolutely.
go back and check those out. So like I see you guys are like working with UNFD now. How did that come about, and what's that partnership been like?
So they actually, I think we reached out to them, or they reached out to us a long time ago. Like I think I want to say like start of quarantine almost, and then everything happened, and tours stopped, and we were like, okay, well, we were gonna just wait to record an album, but let's do it now because we have the time and we're all here. So then we recorded ALIAS and sent them over some stuff in like I want to say October, November kind of time, maybe September. And then we really started talking. And by that time, they'd picked up our good friends in Hollow Front. And we were just kind of like hanging out, talking about what their experience was like working with them. And it kind of like, we were like unsure about labels and stuff at the time. And then we got into a meeting with UNFD, and they were just like insanely creative, very receptive. They were willing to just give us the freedom we need to express our music in whatever ways we want. Keep going with this story and these concepts. They're just great creative people to work with, and yeah, I'm so glad we got together with them. I remember telling our manager, like, if Sleepwaker doesn't get the chance to work with UNFD, then I want to work with UNFD at some point. Like, I want to apply somewhere, or like talk to someone and see if I can like get in on something like designs, or I don't know, but I want to work. I want to work with that team. So
Yeah, well, good call on their end too, man. Letting the artists create, you know, not holding you guys
yeah,
on a leash or nothing. That's because, you know, I mean, like I said, I've enjoyed what I've seen so far, and then now, you know, I mean, you have me anxious to go back and check out some of the other stuff, man. So
well, I'm glad.
good
Yeah,
work, man.
thank you.
Speaking of like such, like, what's the creative process usually like for you?
When it comes to writing or coming up with concepts for the band, or
Well, like, yeah, both.
so for writing, I usually like to kind of just sit and come up with whatever, and then eventually get a bunch of demos and an ocean of garbage, I guess, and then pick through it and find the diamonds in the rough. That's like, okay, this is cool. This sounds interesting. Um, and then we kind of, all the guys kind of do that. Then we take it to our producer Lee, and by take it I mean walk into my basement because we live together, which is kind of nice. But yeah, we just kind of sit down with him and flesh out the album and what it's going to sound like, and the concepts and the tones and everything we want to do. And then from there we kind of I guess build a sound and find some inspiration for lyrics. It's kind of an interesting process, especially this last one. It was very, very different because obviously everyone was available, and we had a tour. We had a month-long tour planned, and then COVID hit, and then everyone was like, cool, let's go into the studio. So we basically had like a ton of time to just sit down and work. And this album, we definitely had more collaboration than we've ever had with the band, because everyone was available and everyone was there. People weren't coming in and coming out. And we learned a lot about some of our members that were like, holy shit, they're really good at this thing. Like, let's have them start doing this thing more often. Cause yeah, it was very, interesting to see that, like, I didn't know that Jake could do this insane like dubstep kind of stuff that he's doing, and our bassist Aaron is an absolutely insane pianist, and I had no clue. And we sat down to do this album, and all of a sudden we learned what everyone can do, and now we're like, okay, well, next album, like, we have to use this more. Like, it has to be on this. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's totally cool. It reminded me too, is like, when the lockdowns and all that first went into place with this pandemic, it was just like, we could look at it from two different ways, man. And it's always about like, glass half full, glass half empty type perspectives,
Yeah.
And, I got 2 teenage daughters, so it's like they're always out with their friends. We almost forget what, everybody likes for dinner and stuff like that, and then the lockdowns happen, and it was an opportunity to reconnect and rebuild that relationship and learn more about, okay, this is how you were as a child. Now I'm getting to know you as a, young woman or whatever,
Yeah.
and when there was a lot of positive things that happened when we were forced to like slow down and stop, because the world is like such, dude, we're multitasking, we're on our phone, we're talking here, we're
constant go,
constant. So I needed to hear that reminder with you, because it's just like we gotta remember the positives we learned from this time down. Yeah, we're all anxious to get back out, to see live music and enjoy the world and everything again, and enjoy, that fellowship and camaraderie. But I made it intentional now every day in my, to try and use my smartphone for good. I got a reminder that says, stop and meditate now halfway through the day, to recharge my mind, reboot, So it's like, we got to remember the benefits we had from the stillness, and hopefully people take some of those and keep those habits. I'm not saying, that I'm like all for lockdowns. I mean, maybe we could do something like, like, okay, everybody, America, or the world
slow down day or something.
Community, or slow down month. It seemed like a lot of the pollution and climate and all the other stuff that everybody talks about. A lot of things were able to breathe again. The earth was able to breathe again.
Oh,
so maybe it's just like, hey, all right, I'll sign that. If I know I'm out at the end of the month and I can go back to normal life, I'd be down.
Didn't the Dolphins come back to
I think Italy or something?
Somewhere in Italy. Yeah,
the what was it, like the rivers that would go to the Venice or something like that. I saw that. I saw all that, and it was just like, wow, okay, So
some good came of it for sure.
Yeah, be less selfish and self-centered, and start thinking about, everybody else. I don't know. That's what I got out of it, and that's what you just reminded me of. You learned more about your bandmates that you never knew before. You guys are more probably tighter and closer, like almost like a family now too.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That's just going to serve you guys going forward,
Absolutely. Because otherwise we would have just been on tour, like making jokes and playing the same songs, and then we'd get home and not rush an album, but you know what I mean? Like, sit down and have less time to work on it, and like, oh, we've got this thing next month, so we have to finish X amount by this time or something. Like, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's cool though. Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, there's some positive stuff to it, and I guess it's just that us as a, how we focus our attention and our consciousness on, our situations. But so Frankie, I wanted to ask you some of the questions I normally ask artists when I have them on
Mhm.
the show. If you got some more time,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
who are your like top 3 musical inspirations?
Oh, Deftones has to be one of them. I love shoegaze music, like a lot of like poppy kind of shoegaze stuff. Um, so I might have to say, uh, Turnover is a huge one. Not metal really, but uh, uh, I'm trying to think of my last one. Um, Honestly, if I'm talking like back in the day, kind of North Lane is definitely a huge inspiration. It still is, but like hearing the album that Rot was on, not Mesmer, the one before that, uh, Node. I just I loved that style and that kind of sound, and that definitely tried to bring that into Sleepwaker, but uh, it's been a slow process to get to the point from where I was 16 and loved just heavy like extreme music versus now where I'm like, okay, let's kind of slow down and mature a little bit. But yeah, those are definitely the big three: Deftones, Turnover, and North Lane.
Nice. And then is there like a certain like song out there that has inspired you in life? Like, if you're going through a period where it's an always a go-to to pump you up or, you know, lift you up.
I don't know if there's one that's man, that's a hard one. I skip around with music so often that I can't really think of a specific song. But for the last year, Seneca by Movements has been a huge song that I've been coming back to a lot.
Cool. And then what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school?
So uh, I had an art class and or a music class, and it was you got to choose which one you wanted to do. Um, I absolutely think that both of those should be mandatory. Like I think an art and a music class should be because having to pick when I was in school was like, what do you want me to do? Like you want me to pick? I'm a graphic designer, so you want me to pick the thing I want to do as my job or the thing I also want to do as my job? Like I can't have both. So yeah, I think it sucks that art and music were definitely slowing down, and now especially with quarantine, I mean, I don't even know what happened with art classes and music classes because you can't really you can't have a band practice, like a
Yeah.
school band practice or anything. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think those are pretty important. Uh, Although I will say a class on how to do your taxes,
Yes.
especially one for people that own their own business, because oh my god, I cannot figure that out.
Yeah, and then it's just like just when you thought you had it down, the whole, whole tax law changed and everything
Ex-
too.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
At this point, it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna hire someone for the rest of my life.
yeah, pretty much it's almost worth it, the
Mm,
whatever they charge just to save the headache.
yeah.
Um, and then what's like the last book that you read?
Actually, so you mentioned inspiration for the next album. I actually have it right here. It's House of Leaves. I'm still kind of reading it, but House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielowski. Um, it's it's insane. It's a very, very, very weird book. Uh, like, let me find. Like, there are pages that are like upside down. Some are like spirals. There are some that have like weird color and for example, this page is literally just it's a bunch of X's on the page with words like clipped into it here and there. Um, and it's a very tough read.
Yeah, it sounds
And
like
like
it.
the font changes sometimes, and like yeah, like here's one page. It's all sideways, and so are the footnotes. Like this. So, but it's an extremely interesting book. There's like very different. There's a lot of turns and twists in it.
It definitely
Uh,
makes you focus, you know?
yes, yeah. It's like you were saying, sitting down and meditating, sitting down and just reading a weird book that you have to really focus on is nice sometimes.
Yeah,
But
for sure. And then do you have like a regular like morning ritual or routine? I mean, we talked a lot about sleeping. Now, what do you do when you wake?
uh, I don't. I've needed one. I had one when I was at the start of quarantine. I was really good about it. But then I quit my job last October, and I was like, you know what? I don't need a regular sleep schedule. I can just keep doing what I'm doing and uh, just be creative on my own time and work on my own time. And it's been pretty good, but yeah, I've fallen off hard. It used to be wake up and go, like, brush my teeth, do all the morning basic stuff. I would cook breakfast, and it would be like I tried to do a new recipe a week for breakfast, uh, and then I came up with some interesting ones and combinations and stuff, and then I would sit down and I would do a design a day, and I kept it up for 42 days or something like that at the start of quarantine. And then I just got too busy, and the rules were I had to sit down and do a design, no time limit, but it had to be done before or between uh, 2 a.m. that morning and 12 p.m. that night, or midnight that night. Um, so yeah, I would do that, and then I realized that it was kind of burning me out of ideas. So I was like, all right, let's take a break on that one and just kind of work with clients mostly, and um,
Gotcha.
but just fell off from there.
And then what's who are three people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today?
My dad, absolutely. Uh, Lee, our producer, my roommate, and uh, honestly, I right now I'd have to say my girlfriend, because she's definitely uh helped me slow down, and she's a very like spiritual person, and I've definitely lacked any connection there since I was very young. Um, and like you're saying again, like you're saying, meditating. She's the one that kind of helped me realize that doing stuff and taking care of my mental health is insanely important. And
Yes,
she's a
definitely.
social worker, so she's all over it. But
Sweet. You should have her look into the Wellness Institute. They teach like hypnotherapy, and
oh
that's
yeah,
something that I was able to go through like an internship with them. And
yeah, that's awesome.
man, it talk about. I mean, we talk about like the sleep and the different like levels of consciousness and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Hypnotherapy definitely takes you through those. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of social workers in the group. That's why I mentioned that.
Hmm.
But man, a lot of we'd get together for during the internship, like every couple months, and it was just a spiritual weekend and meditation,
Hmm.
um, and you do a lot of the stuff on yourself to work on your own things, but
Hmm.
it's something that you could take back to your clients to help others with. So
Yeah, absolutely.
have her check that out, man. They're
Yeah,
pretty
what
cool.
was it called again?
The
Wellness
Wellness
on there?
Institute. They're out
Institute.
in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, definitely, I will.
Um, and then Are there any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
I've been pretty bad about that lately. I mean, we I don't remember the name of it right now, but we were working with one when COVID hit and everything. There was uh, um, a group that was trying to raise money for like sound guys and roadies and all the people that were out of work from no shows and stuff like that. And we worked with them and we did a sale on because I wear a mask when we play live, and I did that before quarantine. And then over quarantine, we saw the bands selling them, and we were like, I don't know if we could do that. Like, it doesn't feel right, because at the time there were like mask shortages and stuff like that. So we just kind of held on to our stock, and then eventually we met up with this guy that talked to us about it, and we're like, this is actually it'd be nice to help someone out with that. And I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I can definitely look for it and send it your way.
All right, sounds good. And then this is one of my favorites to ask because it takes everybody down to like a memory lane. But what was your favorite toy as a child?
Oh, I had a lamb when I was little. Actually, when I was born, I want to say my great aunt maybe gave me a lamb that my parents named Babaloo when I was really little. Like, there's a video of me as like a tiny baby getting it for the first time. And I loved that thing. Like, it went everywhere with me. So yeah, I would say, let's say Babaloo for sure.
Babaloo. Sweet,
Yep.
man. That could be a future album name, you could throw that out there.
Definitely.
Then do a cover. Frankie Had a Little Lamb,
Yeah. I've been told I need to cover more Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
There you go. Or to the petting zoo with the lamb.
Yeah.
And then any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Yeah, I mean, stay strong and thank you. Like, so much. I mean, I don't know how to I guess put that into words right off the bat, but yeah, it definitely means a lot.
Awesome. All right, so Frankie, before we get ready and wrap up here, like if any of our audience out there is like new to hearing about you guys, want to look into especially some of those videos that we were talking about earlier, or check out some of your music and maybe buy some merch to help support you guys during this downtime, where would you like to send them?
Absolutely. So we have a merch store right now on 2400. If you go to UNFD, they have all the UNFD.com. They have all the links, or maybe UNFD Central. But otherwise, you can go to our social media accounts, and from there you can find all our links to all our stuff. It's at Sleepwaker Band on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Sleepwakerband.com, chooseyouralias.com. Yeah, we've got a bunch of different places to go and look at some things and Easter eggs and little tidbits that we've been having some fun throwing out to the world and seeing if anyone notices.
Nice, man. You guys are gonna occupy a lot of my time now.
Yeah,
we're looking for the awesome Easter eggs and everything.
Yeah, that's definitely the point.
Sweet. Okay, so like real quick before I let you go, can I ask a quick favor from you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just like introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Absolutely. I'm Frankie Mish from Sleepwaker, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome, man. Hey, Frankie, it's been great talking with you. Look forward to the future album Babaloo.
Yeah.
And all your other projects. And yeah, dude, keep up the good work. Everything you guys are doing is it's definitely it's something that I think a lot of has been missing, in a lot of the art today that I don't know, maybe I just haven't dug deep enough into rabbit holes, man, but I really liked what you guys are doing. So thanks for your time, man.
You.
And you take care.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.